Hello everyone, right, we are live. So today, doing a Microsoft Flight Simulator stream. Planning on doing a series of these streams. Ideally flying, eventually going from Gloucester to New York, following a very standard ferry route, which will take us from Gloucester up to Prestwick. Prestwick to Keflavik in Iceland. Keflavik to a place in Greenland, which I cannot pronounce, Narrabassac or something like that. Across to Goose Bay in Canada, down to Maine, and then eventually down to New York. So today's obviously day one. Going to be flying from Gloucester up to Prestwick. Fairly quick flight, under a couple of hours. Hey Dan, hey Rob, hey Chloe. See you all in the chat. Lovely. So yeah, currently parked at Gloucester. Not entirely sure whereabouts in the airport, but it's not a great depiction of the airport in this at the moment, but we'll work it out. Just a quick sort of look over the route. So we're going to be taking off out of Gloucester, heading up over sort of Manchester, and then sort of northwest from Manchester up to Prestwick. It shouldn't take too long. I think it's apparently going to take us an hour and 29 minutes once we get in the air, which is not a bad flight. In terms of weather, there might not be too much to say. It's a little bit cloudy and a few icing conditions en route, so that'll be somewhat fun to work with. So yeah, let's. I'll begin with what we've got. So if I just bring up my checklist, there we go. So we're flying in the Diamond DA62. This has 280 horsepower diesel engines. Same engines you find on a Mercedes A-Class. Actually, there's a little bit of knowledge for you there. Right. So let's go for the before engine start check. So the pre-flight's completed. Been through all the paperwork. The baggage and tow bar secured. Aux pumps are both off. Aux power switch is off. Fuel selectors can go to on, and the guards are closed. Power levers are both at idle. Parking brake is set. The alternate air is closed. Manual gear extension handle. A lot of this isn't simulated in the game, so I'll just sort of skip over it. The gear selector is down though. Pitot heat's off. Avionic masters off. Electronic masters off. Fuel pumps are both off. Engine masters are both off. Alternate static is off. Alternators can both go on. Voter switches we can't use. Anti-ice is all off. All the lights are off. Circuit breakers are all in. The ELT is armed and flat selector is up. So we turn the electric master on. Rudder pedals are adjusted. Flight controls, make sure we've got full and free movement, which we do. Flaps, make sure they go all the way down and all the way back up again. It's the top one, Dan. The Narsawak. Narsawak, I don't know. I mean, it's in whatever language they speak. I don't know. I forget Greenland. Whatever language they speak in Greenland. Greenlandish. Trims are checked. We can move those. Make sure it's neutral, which it is. Gear warning for lights and fire detector test. We can't actually do in this. Can check the de-ice annunciations and lights. Which they all work. Make sure we've got no warnings on here. Passengers instructed, safety harnesses fastened, doors are all closed. G1000 is powered and acknowledged. The MFD is set. Check the fuel. Got loads of fuel, full tanks. Fuel quantities checked and reset. Fuel temperature is in the green. Total times noted. MFD is on system, which we don't have. So we can't really check anything else other than that. Power levers are idle. Strobes are on. And now we start the engine. So we'll start with engine number 1. It's really simple in this aircraft. Turn the master on. Wait for the glow plug to go out. And hit start. That starts the left engine. We come over here. We make sure oil pressure's rising, oil temperature's rising, everything's rising, everything's going towards the green, which is perfect. And it's nice and stable. So we'll do the same for engine number 2. Glow plugs out. Hit start. Engine starts. All pressures in the green, all temperatures rising, coolant temperatures rising, and RPM is stable. Simple as that. Turn off your Discord audio notifications. Sorry, I will turn that off now. I didn't realise those were on, to be honest. My streamer mode. For some reason streamer mode hasn't turned itself on. There we go. Translates literally as Great Plain. Narsarsuak. That's a weird fucking name. I lost where I was now, Dan. Right. Engine starts. So oil pressure we've checked. The RPM is stable with 710 plus or minus 30. Fuel selectors now we switch to crossfeed, which just literally means the left tank is feeding the right engine, the right tank's feeding the left engine, just to make sure if we needed to use that in flight, it works. Turn the pitot heat on, make sure that goes on. It does. Lights go off. Normally you check to make sure it's actually drawing power with an amp meter, but we don't have an amp meter on this one, which is a shame. We can turn it off. Got a caution, which is just telling me I've turned it off. No other warnings. Avionics master can now go on. And so can the weather radar, which is just in here, which is the next weather radar. Right. Next one then is to set up the FMS. So this is just setting up for the flight plan. It should. I've already put it in. So the route we're going to take is Gloucester to Stafford to Listow to Ribble and then up to Prestwick. That's all in there as we'd expect. We can set the radios, which I can do from my iPad, which makes it a little bit easier for me. So we'll set Gloucester's via ILS in case we needed to come back for any reason, which is 10995. There's nothing really else we need to set, so I will just set Gloucester in both of them. And I'll also set Gloucester on the ADF. Done. So that's down here now showing me. Hey, Dan's now following me. Dan, how were you not following me before? So we're going to set this now to GPS because that's what we want to be following. I've set Gloucester more as a backup. If we had an emergency taking off, we could turn around, come back and land. Given the weather today, it's actually quite a nice clear day. I wouldn't actually use that at all. If we had an issue, I'd come back and just do it visually, not use the instruments because it's quicker. So everything in there is set up. The only thing really I suppose I could turn on is this speed bugs. The only one that's particularly important is our rotation speed, which is 76 knots, which is set. Lovely. So do an autopilot test. So we check the trim doesn't work now, which it doesn't.
Engaging autopilot.
Turn the autopilot on, make sure it turns on. Can't do a full check like you would in the aircraft, which is you make sure the controls are going where they're supposed to be. Hit disconnect, make sure it disconnects. Haven't got a go around button like you would in the aircraft, so I can't press that. Everything should be turned off. Lovely. Make sure this is still neutral, which it is. You've got the little bar there in the middle telling us it's neutral. So the autopilot test is done. Floodlight, let's make sure that actually turns on. I'm not expecting to use it today, it's daytime, so position lights, you don't really need those on at night, but I will turn them on. Those are your simple, your red and green lights on the side. Fuel selectors now can go back to on. What's conversion of knots compared to mile an hour? So conversion, so it's I think it's 1.1 miles an hour to 1 knot, if I remember rightly. And that's the right way around. So for instance 100 knots will be 110 miles an hour. So I'm expecting to fly around 150 knots today. So that's going to be, what's that, 165 miles an hour. Plus whatever the wind is as well behind us. Or ahead of us, it'll slow us down if it's a headwind. So altimeters we set, so we need to get the weather for that one. 78, just get the weather for Gloucester.
Gloucester Airport information, Mike 1100 Zulu. Wind 113 at 10. Visibility 6. Sky condition, few clouds at 700 feet, few clouds at 4,300 feet, few clouds at 11,300 feet. Temperature 8. Dew point 10. Altimeter 29.50. Visual runway 9er in use. Landing and departing runway 9er. VFR aircraft say direction of flight.
Lovely. So we've got the weather there. So just set what it's basically the atmospheric pressure, which we don't use inches of mercury in this country, but I don't think you can actually change it in Flight Sim yet. So we've got to stick to the American way. I thought knots was for ships and airplanes, because they both use nautical miles. So send the standby as well. So this is literally just setting the what's the atmospheric pressure at the moment to give us, because that's how it works out our altitude. So that all looks correct. Gloucester is about 101 feet, and we're showing 90. So yeah, within sort of 20-30 feet, that's fine. Standby altitude is set. Transponder, we've got to get the code. Energy temperatures checked. Park rate release. Right, so let's get our clearance.
Gloucester Tower Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 IFR to Prestwick ready to copy.
Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 is cleared to Prestwick Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 9er, climb and maintain 10,000 feet. Departure frequency is 118.775 squawk 7353.
Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 cleared to Prestwick Airport as filed. Takeoff runway 9er, climb and maintain 10,000 feet.
So we're flying instrument rules today. There's two different types. You've got visual or instrument. Instrument just means basically you're under radar, you fly through cloud, that sort of stuff. So what he's given us there is just my clearance for takeoff. So well, not for takeoff, but for my route. So we're going to take off on runway be 09, again American, so let's just say 9. Climb straight to 10,000 feet, which I've got set in there. Squawk 7353. That is literally just a code which they give you, which you put into a little box, and that's what they see. So when the air traffic control look at their radar, they don't see your flight number or anything like that. They can do, they can bring it up if they need to, but what they'll see is that code 7353 flying around, and they know that belongs to me. So I think we are ready to taxi. So we can go request taxi IFR.
Gloucester ground Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 with November ready to taxi IFR.
Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 taxi to and hold short of runway 9er using taxiway Golf Charlie cross runway 36 Bravo cross runway 4 left echo. Contact tower on 122.905 when ready.
Taxiing hold short runway 9er using taxiway Golf Charlie cross runway 36 Bravo cross runway 4 left echo Diamond Alpha Alpha Alpha.
So release the parking brake. Now I don't like having this big blue bar on, but I've had to turn it on because some of the airports are so far off what the real thing is, or occasionally they don't have the correct taxiways. You can't just follow a chart, it doesn't work. The reason they say 9er instead of 9 is it's basically it's a bit like your phonetic alphabet. It's so that over a radio it doesn't get confused with another letter or something like that. I think the 9er, I think it might even actually come from, as stupid as it sounds, I don't know how true this is, apparently it comes from the Germans, because obviously 9 being no. So if they say 9er, they're not going to get confused between no and the number 9. How true that is, I don't know, but it just makes it very clear, because over radio, especially if you're using, so this is what's using very high frequency radio. If you use high frequency, it gives you a much better range, but it's the same as what they use in the war. You can't understand shit on that at all. You only use that when you're miles out over the ocean. But yeah, you can't understand anything, so having stuff like that, it stops you getting confused between one number and another. There is supposed to be very specific ways you say things, like the number 3, for instance, you should say tree. Again, I think that's more based on, again, old radios where the th sound wouldn't come through very well. As much as I like this aircraft, it does have a real issue with the friction is set way too high, to the point that I need so much power to get this thing moving. Oh, I know where we are now. I used to come from up there when I actually flew for real. So we're coming up on runway 36. So we've already been cleared to cross it. We check, make sure there's nothing coming up the runway, make sure nothing's landed. It's all clear. Another quick check as we pull out. Okay, going up to runway 04 again. Nothing's coming up. Nothing's landing. Not that I would expect that in a flight sim, but you never know. We're cleared to cross it, so we go straight across. These rudder pedals are so sensitive. So we're nearly there. It's just pretty much the end of this little bit of taxiway here. Is runway 09. So we've got the cruise set today at about 10,000 feet. Normally you wouldn't want to go higher than that. Anything higher than 10,000 feet you need to be on oxygen, unless you've got a pressurised cabin like you would have in a commercial jet. These don't have a pressurised cabin. They do come with little oxygen masks, and they've got a little lever down here, which in the real aircraft you'd pull, which will start the oxygen flow. Ideally, if we don't have to use that, the better. Obviously, the higher you go, the faster you go, and you're above the weather and stuff like that, but it shouldn't be too bad today. So we stop at the weight line here. We're not clear to cross that one. Put the parking brake on. We do our before takeoff checks. So we've got parking brake is set, safety harnesses are fastened, adjustable backrests are upright, doors are closed, no door warning annunciations, trim is set again, make sure that's neutral. Fuel selectors, we make sure those are turned on. Rudder trim is neutral, which it is. Flaps, so we're going to have takeoff flaps set. Make sure we've got the lights, make sure they move. We've got takeoff flaps set. Flight controls, so now we just do a quick check. Go full forward, full back, full left, and full right. Make sure we've got full free movement, not catching on anything. Power levers are idle. Check all our temperatures are in the green. Normally you do an ECU test, which is down here, which I can't do in this aircraft. Pitot heat I will turn on. That just heats little pitot tubes, which is what it uses to work out our speed and stuff like that, stops them freezing over. Ice protection, I don't think we need it immediately on takeoff, so we'll turn that on as and when we need it. Transponder, we've checked the code is correct. The only other thing I would do now is set it to Alt, which just now it starts showing up on his radar. Fuel pumps, so we'll turn the electric fuel pumps on. Again, they're just purely a backup for on takeoff. Once we took off, we turn them off. Right, let's get our clearance to take off. We're ready to go.
Gloucester Tower Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 ready for IFR departure runway 9er.
Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 Alpha cleared for takeoff runway 9er.
Cleared for takeoff runway 9er, Diamond Golf.
Okay, we are
Alpha,
clear for
Alpha,
takeoff.
Alpha, Alpha.
So we'll turn the landing lights on, release the parking brake, have a quick check. Nothing's coming in, nothing's coming up the runway. Loads of power to get it moving. Come on. There we go, on the runway. Check there's a runway 9, which it is. Start the timer. Full power. There we go. Full power set. P's and P's are all in the green. Airspeed's rising. Looking for about 76 knots for takeoff. I might be a little bit all over the runway because of these ultra sensitive rudder pedals, but I'll try and do what I can to make it look somewhat professional. Okay, 76 knots. Okay, we're up. We've not got enough runway if we were to have an engine fail now, so we hit the brakes and bring the gear in. Pitch up to about 15 degrees. Okay, we're more than 300 feet up. Let's bring the flaps in. We'll start our turn to join our route. So, can't quite see it here. Normally, coming out of Gloucester, especially going this way, just off to the right is GCHQ, big donut building. Okay, he's contacting me, it's contacting back, he's just telling us to move to Manchester. A little bit annoying he's contacting me so early, but... Right. Manchester Centre.
Manchester Centre, Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 Alpha is at 1,200 feet, climbing 10,000 feet.
There we go, get a nice intercept heading.
Alpha, 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 Manchester Center.
Aiming for about 93 knots now.
Altimeter 29.50.
2950 set. Lovely. So what I can do now, to make life a bit easier for me, get it nice and level, trimmed well. There we go, we're joining the route now, so let's turn that to get on track. 24 knot tailwind at the moment. So bring that back now. Now we're going to the climb, bring it back to about 95%, so we can only run the engines at maximum power for about 5 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes actually in this. So we're going to set 1200 feet per minute, which is, there we go, sets that. Also going to engage nav mode. So that's just bringing up the flight director, so now it's keeping me climbing at about 1200 feet a minute, which is actually a little bit low. We can go a bit higher. Let's go for 15. 1500 feet a minute. Just trying to keep that speed of 93. And then it also keeps me on track. So we're at good altitude now. Engage the autopilot. Goes a little bit weird for some reason in this when you first engage the autopilot. Got no automatic speed control, so some aircraft the autopilot, obviously if you've got auto throttles, great. If not, you can set a speed, and what it'll do, it'll just adjust the pitch to keep that speed. We haven't got that, so what I have to do is use vertical speed, so I set how many feet per minute we're climbing at. So I've got 1500 at the moment. I want 93 knots, so if I set 1600, that should start bringing that speed down. And all I have to do is keep an eye on that, because obviously if I left it at 1600 knots, as we get higher and the air gets thinner, as you can see, look, we're already dropping below it, and it's very easy to forget to watch that, and next thing you know, you're going too slow, you stall, and you're falling like a rock out of the sky. Not what you want. Lovely. So we're high enough now as well. We can turn the landing lights off. We don't need the fuel pumps on anymore. We've actually been quite lucky. We've dodged most of that cloud. and zoom out a bit, get a bit more of a view. And this is probably going to be one of the more scenic flights, as from here on it's going to be a lot of just sea. But it is, the graphics in this game are amazing. Still haven't got used to how good they are. Bring that back to 1200 feet a minute. What we'll do, have a quick look at what it looks like outside. I know this breaks the immersion a little bit, but you can have a view of the countryside. There we are, right. So we're on track. Increase the map so we can see where we're going. So obviously on this map here, this is our weather radar. So off to the left, got a bit of cloud, which is at what's up there. Off to the right, that's probably what's going to be below us, that red cloud, where it basically just shows how much moisture's in it. So especially when it's very cold outside, which at the moment it's -2. If we were in that red, we would expect a lot of icing. But where we are at the moment, absolutely fine. So we're at 7,500 feet, 2,500 feet to go. You've never actually flown on the plane? It's a weird thing when you first go on. So a big jet, you don't notice it as much. You will find when you first take off, you're pinned to your seat a little bit. Your stomach might turn a little bit as it first goes up. But it's not that much different from being in a car, to be honest. Little aircraft like this feel a little bit more different because I think it's just because they're a lot lighter, so they do feel the wind a lot more. You get bounced around a little bit more, but it's really not that much different than just being in a car. Other than the views are a bit nicer. So we're coming up with 1,000 feet to go. We're at 8,700 feet now. Still climbing at 1,300 feet a minute. I'm just going to drop that down to 1,000 feet a minute. This is more just common courtesy. Airmanship is what it used to be called, but we're not allowed to call it that anymore. Where basically you'd drop it down to 1,000 because if there's like a jet or something above you and he's coming down, it could set off his. They've got systems in the aircraft which let you know if you're going to have a collision with another aircraft. And if it sees, even though you know you're going to stop at 10,000 feet, these systems don't. All it sees is this plane coming up very, very, very quickly. Being on plane museums, just never flown them. You should have a go. If you ever got like, I mean, you can get vouchers on like Voucher and places like that. It is worth, or even just like you can get either book a flying lesson or even go in a simulator, and that's actually, I mean, the simulators, they're not that expensive, especially if you use like the fixed ones rather than the full movement ones. But they're a very good way. Say if you, especially for people who are quite nervous of flying, because you actually get to have a go and you see exactly how it works and you see just how safe it is and stuff like that. And they're not that expensive. Right, leveled out. Let's bring this now back to about 60% power, which is going to be our cruise power, which is about there. Let the speed level itself out. And then sit and look out the window. We're now en route to Prestwick. So currently, we're actually going directly over Worcester. So that's Worcester city centre down there. Got my hometown of Droitwich just coming up. So just under these clouds. It's about right actually. In fact, if I look out the window, this is supposed to be live weather, so I'm quite interested to see. We do in fact have a few little clouds. So I'll say that's fairly accurate actually with the weather. So you've got the M5 motorway down there, junction 7, junction 6. Rob, you'll probably recognise that junction just down there with that. You've got junction 6 there, little island just there. That's that beefeater we've been to. Well, those flights are really good, and those are, like, they sometimes work out cheaper than going in a car or going by train, the ones to Edinburgh and places like that, because, I mean, obviously, I suppose it'd have to be, oh, shit, I don't know what the airline is now, I'm trying to think. Obviously, it used to be Flybe, but now, obviously, they're gone. They have taken over, I'm pretty sure one of them does it from Birmingham. For you, I mean, from London way, yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. No, it's, I'm going to have a look. Let's have a look. So, Birmingham to Edinburgh. What was the name of the bloody flight? Oh, EasyJet do it. I didn't realise EasyJet did it. Loganair, that's it. There's an airline called Loganair, and they do, they're a little Scottish airline. If you're from London, you'll have no trouble. Probably go like, they'll probably go as regularly as the trains, to be honest, like every other hour or something. So we'll just do a quick sense check. Got 60% power, speed's fine, 135 knots. So this is where maths comes into it. So our indicated airspeed is 135 knots. That is the speed the air is going over our wings at the moment. However, at 10,000 feet, obviously the air's a lot thinner. So you calculate, this is why you have a different speed readout down here, which is our true airspeed. This is based on temperature and pressure and things like that. So that's giving us 156 knots. So our indicated airspeed is 135. Our actual speed through the air is 156. However, we also have a 14 knot tailwind. So our speed over the ground is 170 knots. Which that's going to be what, near enough 190 miles an hour. We're doing over the ground at the moment, to the point that we're at Worcester, and now we're pretty much at this little symbol here, WOL, W-O-L. That is Wolverhampton Halfpenny Green Airport, which is just north of Kidderminster. Where I did my first ever flying lesson actually out of that airport. See if we can see it. It's gonna be, I can never see it when I'm flying the real thing, and I've landed there. And it's not till I'm pretty much directly over it, I've gone, oh shit, there's an airport there. I am terrible at seeing airports from the sky. Like, I cannot do it. Like, in a jet it's a little bit easier because we're flying into bigger airports, so there's lots of lights. These little airports in the middle of nowhere, fuck me, you can't see them. See, there is an airport there somewhere. See if I can look on a map and see exactly where it is. It might be under the cloud, which probably doesn't help. Let's have another look inside. Where are we? So we should be going pretty much directly over it. So it's going to be just ahead of us. Yeah, this is complete real time. So this takes, so especially with the live weather, it is as accurate as it can be. In fact, I think there was, it was in the news. Let's say the news. It was on like a Flight Sim nerdy Facebook page as a story that someone had basically, it was in America, done a flight from somewhere to somewhere, and he had this on his, he had Flight Sim on his laptop, and he flew the same route with live weather, live everything at the same time as his real flight, and landed at the same time. So yeah, fairly accurate.
London Center on 118.475.
I don't think we're going to see that airport, annoyingly. Weather's starting to get a little bit shit now. Never mind.
118.475 line 2174.
So what's quite good about this is I've got live players on. So all these people we see here are other people who are currently playing now. But what you hear over ATC is actual real life aircraft which are going in and out of airports. So the other thing this game does is it will even simulate the real life aircraft around. Have you ever been to Biggin Hill? You know what? No, and I'm really annoyed because I planned to go there back when I was doing my flight training. Can't remember why I was planning to go there. I think I just wanted to visit it because it's quite a popular airport, especially for little aircraft like this. And I just never got round to it. Been to Red Hill. That's another London one. That's just down by Gatwick though. That's still quite far away from you guys. Right, so we're coming up to our first. School was near Big. It was in Biggin Hill. Just oh, that's awesome. That is cool. I don't remember exactly where Biggin Hill is now. It's just north of London, isn't it? Biggin Hill Airport. Oh no, it's nice south of London. Why did I think it was north? Yeah. No, yeah, it's supposed to be a very nice airport to fly into. I do know someone who flies in and out of there. Yeah, for the only London airport I think I've been to was Red Hill, which I say it's basically it's quite an odd one because it's literally about 2 miles from Gatwick Airport. So it's really weird when you go into land and you're that close to Gatwick. In fact, a friend of mine, when he was training, he got quite a bollocking once because they took off out of Red Hill and accidentally flew straight into Gatwick's airspace. Because apparently him and the other guy were too busy having an argument in the flight deck, whilst that's not flight deck, in the plane whilst they were taking off. Yes, it does make me laugh because I find it fucking hilarious. Unfortunately, there ain't that much to see, is there now? Too many clouds in the way. We are coming up on the first waypoint, which is Stafford. So it's just a GPS waypoint called Stafford. So at Stafford, let me just check my flight stuff. We should have used. So I had how many? I had 26 gallons in each tank, so I had 54 gallons, and we should have at Stafford used 6. So it should only just be off. Yeah, that's about right. Coming up to it, so we should have used. It should be 26, 54. So that's going to be 48. So it's a little bit under, but we've got way more than we actually need. As a minimum, we need 21 gallons of fuel left when we reach Stafford. So obviously, it looks worse than it is. So when it gets to 20 gallons, that means we've actually got 40, because that's 20 in each tank. So as long as when we get to this waypoint here, where the pink line and the magenta line meets the white line, as long as those left and right aren't all the way down here somewhere, more than enough fuel. I purposely brought more when I needed. So from Stafford we're heading to Listo, which should take us 6 minutes. I need to get some nice royalty-free music or something, don't I, to play during these long flights. So we're pretty much now on top of our first waypoint, which is Stafford, which is, well, it's Stafford basically. It's literally just off Stafford. Twitch soundtrack. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at that later. See what I can find. Just have it get a few songs just on a nice loop in the background. Especially for the next flight, because the next flight's nearly 5 hours long. And I cannot find even I can't find enough things to talk about for 5 hours. Should be quite an interesting one though, from Scotland to Iceland. Okay, so we are 1 mile away. I'm happy to say we're at Stafford. So check the fuel. T's and P's are all in the green. That's the important one. Check the fuel. We are using our fuel flows a little bit more than what I estimated. I estimated 11.8 gallons per hour. But this is why I bought more. And then I know for tomorrow's flight I'll change it, just because again the sim's not dead accurate on the fuel flow. It's easy enough to just add more fuel on the flight planning. So using 6.1 at 60%, it's easy enough. So yeah, we needed what did I say we needed at Stafford? 21 gallons, and we've got, what's that, probably 44 gallons in total. More than enough. It's actually quite a nice day, above all the crap weather. Admittedly, we're going to have to descend through it when we get to Scotland, so we might pick up a bit of ice on the way down. But we'll just keep an eye on it. ATC is bloody quiet.
Manchester Center, generic Golf Papa Sierra India, is climbing through 900 feet for 8,000 feet.
Generic Golf Golf Papa Sierra India Manchester Center, continue as planned. Altimeter 29er
Golf, Golf, Papa Sierra. I wonder if you can actually find that aircraft, because theoretically that's a
You are 2 miles south. Maintain
real
present
aircraft.
heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 16 approach.
Golf, Papa Sierra, India. There it is. Got it on flight radar. It's a little Grob 115. That's not bad. That's kind of cool.
Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect vectors. Visual runway 16
So I can see where that aircraft is in real life. So our next waypoint is Listo. We should be 26 minutes into the flight, so we're a little bit behind on that because we're just coming up on 26 minutes now, but that's fine. We should have 20 gallons of fuel. We are going a little bit slower than I estimated, but again, not an issue. And plus this doesn't take into account that initial takeoff and turn to get back en route and stuff, which does add a couple of minutes on. We're only, what are we, 9 miles away? And we're doing just under 6 miles a minute. Best part is probably I will say probably the views. Like this, like to do this in real life and see views like this is still pretty incredible. It's most of my day when I'm flying is just spent looking out the window going, oh, what's that down there? Oh, what's that down there? To the point I've actually got an app on my iPad now, which is loaded like offline maps. So I could, cause obviously the GPS works in the air, but obviously nothing else does on my iPad, so you obviously don't have a signal. But it's quite cool because I can see exactly what we're flying over, and I like to sort of sit there then and go, okay, so that's that, and that's that, and that's that, and try to pick out like landmarks and stuff. Because you do get to see some pretty cool stuff. See a lot of shooting stars, a lot of like asteroids and stuff burning up, which is kind of cool. Just be sat there, and then every now and then you'll just see like a little fireball go across the sky. Right, we're pretty much now at, what's stop, 3 miles away, 2 minutes over, yeah, that's fine. Pretty much there, I'm happy that we're there. So, at Listo now, get 'em right, which is just north of Stoke-on-Trent, which is where we are at the moment. But just to our right there, you'll see the Trent VOR, which is just like a big radio mast, basically. Big, like, radio. What's the best way to describe it? It's like a big circle on the ground. But we use those for navigation. Obviously, that's why it's called Trent, because it's next to Stoke-on-Trent, which is where we are. So, at Listo, then, we expecting to be at 26 minutes. We're at 28. That's fine. Within a couple of minutes. And expecting 20 gallons of fuel, and we've still got 42? No. Yeah, probably about 42, 43 gallons. So we're fine on fuel, fine on time. Next one takes a little bit longer up to Ribble. It's 53 miles. So it just shows that actually then the weather system on this is fairly accurate, considering, you know, we should have been at 26 minutes, we're at 28. So the wind and that can't be too far off. And we are going to be a bit slower because it's said my true airspeed should be 163 and it's 156. So we're always going to be a little bit slower than the plan. Let's go for another outside view. Have a look around. There's someone else down there flying an A320. Zoom in and see them. Nah, I was hoping we might be able to see them. So we've got Macclesfield just over there to the right. So we know we're definitely in the north. So just up ahead, you might not be able to see it yet, we will have Manchester. So that just off to the left of the nose, just over here. Don't know if you can see my mouse. That over there is Manchester International Airport. Big old place that is. Flown out of there a few times. Quite like flying out of Manchester actually. Farming Sim 19 stream later. Ooh, I don't know if I have, you know. I mean, I'll probably get it. I mean, it's Farming Sim. It's particularly expensive. I might treat myself. I actually quite like Farming Sim. I'm a sucker for simulator games, that's the problem. Oh, I will definitely take a look at that later then. So there we are, we've got Manchester Airport just over there, and we're just coming up now on Manchester City. So you've got 2 runways at Manchester here. In fact, if I can zoom in, if you, in real life, this runway here, this little section here, at the very end of the runway, is actually all closed off at the moment because it's where TUI are storing all their 737 Maxes. Whilst they're, well, they might not be anymore, but when they were out of service, that's where they were all stored. They had a few there, and they had one which was actually stuck down in Tenerife. When it was on it, I think as far as I'm aware, it had flown to Tenerife, and just as it was like whilst they were in the air is when they set the rule of right, we're banning all 737 Maxes. So it landed in Tenerife and was never allowed to leave. But there we go. There's Manchester Airport. So we used to, when I used to take off out of there, we used to be parked at the back of this little cul-de-sac here. So you've got all the car park and everything over here. There's a staff car park there. And it was a pain in the arse getting out of that cul-de-sac because this little turn here is so narrow. Every time you think you're going to hit the wings on something. It's also huge as well. Like, I cannot find my way around that airport. Like, I'd get there and they'd be like, oh, we're on stand whatever today, and I'd be like, I used to have to go to cabin crew, right, I'm not from this airport, so even though I've flown out a bit enough times, you're still going to have to take me there because I do not know where I'm going. Ooh, yes please. So some mods, some farming sim mods. So we're coming up. There is the centre of Manchester, dead ahead. We're going right over the top of it. So now this is a sort of situation where you want a twin-engine aircraft like this. So you wouldn't necessarily really be able to do this if you had a single-engine aircraft, because there's a rule called the land clear rule, which basically is the same reason you couldn't fly over the centre of London, for instance, because we're in Class A airspace at the moment anyway, which means you have to have ATC permission. But if you've got the right equipment in your aircraft, you could do it in a single engine. However, you have to base it on a single engine. If my engine was to die right now, there is no way that I am going to be able to land in a field. I'm not going to reach a field. I might just be able to reach these sort of parks and stuff, but I mean, you've got to be lucky to land in that. The worst used to have it when you come out of Cardiff. Cardiff ATC would try and get you to basically fly over the centre of Cardiff, but you've only just took off, so you're a couple hundred feet. And you used to be able to sort of tell them, no, I'm not doing that, because the amount of people who wouldn't tell them no and would just do it, but you sort of have to think, you've got one engine. If that engine failed on takeoff over Cardiff City, where the only place you're going to be able to land is in the river, and you've got to be fucking lucky. But obviously in this aircraft it's a bit easier. We've got two engines. If one fails, it's fine. If one failed now, I'd turn around and land back at Manchester International. There we are, there's Manchester City Centre down there. That's all I know about it. Can't say I know any more about Manchester. There's a stadium over there, and another one over. I don't know what's in these stadiums. Manchester United, maybe? Is that? Assume they play in a stadium in the centre of Manchester. So we've got here where the M60 and the M66 join. I know my roads better than I know my cities and my football stadiums. I don't know football stadiums at all. So I have another little quick check inside, make sure everything's all running okay. Speed's fine, temperatures, pressures are all in the green. Fuel's fine. We've still got another 30 miles before reaching Ribble, which is our next waypoint. And then from Ribble, I think it's a direct route straight to Prestwick. So that one's quite a long route. It's about 120 miles, something like that. So that's going to be the longest part of the journey. I will. So just off to the right somewhere over here, we should have Bradford. Lovely town. City. Bradford, yeah. It's, I wouldn't go there for a holiday, put it that way. I'll probably just offended anyone now. There's bound to be someone in chat now who's going to go, oh, I'm from fucking Bradford. I stand by, Bradford is a shithole. Leeds is lovely. Bradford's a shithole. The centre of Leeds. Now they've done it up a bit, is actually quite nice.
Diamond Alpha traffic is 2 o'clock, 4 miles at 12,000.
2 o'clock, 4 miles. Oh, there he is. I sees him. See his little lights flashing.
4 miles at 10,000 feet. Diamond is 62. Report them in sight.
Diamond Alpha, have the traffic.
There he is.
Factor 3671 traffic in sight.
Just taking off out of Leeds, Bradford, by the looks of it. Also, it's not hard for Leeds to look good, because it's next to Bradford, so it's not like it's got much to compete with. I keep seeing you all playing that Hunt Showdown. I don't even know what that is. I keep meaning to have a look and jump on, but... yeah, everyone stream it. I'll just have multiple Twitch streams up, and I'll be able to watch it from every single angle. I mean, I'll look a little bit like the architect from Matrix. All these just like millions of screens up, but hey, it'll look good. Okay, that'd be quite good. I'll have a look. It'd be quite cool to see it from everyone's angle. See, something like multi-stream, that's where you're going to want to watch people playing like Gmod TTT or something like that, because you can sit there and feel like really evil because you know who it is, and you can just watch them go around murdering people and watch all the innocents try and work out who it is. Gonna have a Burnley. We love you, Burnley. We do. That's all I know about Burnley. Is they had that song that was on the In-Betweeners movie. I assume it's a football. I know absolutely fuck all about football. I remember I went somewhere a few months ago, and they had the football on, and obviously it was this all, you know, they have like they've now got like the fake cheering and stuff in the background. It just sounded really odd. It was just like watching a really unenthusiastic game. Just the weirdest noise. Just like there's no crowd, but there's a random like just a random cheer, and it just sort of starts and then just immediately stops. You're like, okay, that didn't work very well, but sure. Oh, Scotland's a long way away, isn't it? Doesn't look that far away on a map. And this is the short flight. The next one is Keflavik. It's like 5 hours. That's assuming I don't fuck this up at the end and just crash when I get to... Because that would be something... I really shouldn't say that, no. I'm not going to say that'd be something I do. Probably not a good idea to, you know, admit that I'm probably going to crash a plane when it's my job. Looks like the weather's getting a bit shit up ahead as well. Lovely. See, these are the sort of clouds you don't want to fly into on the right, these big tall ones. Because those are usually like your storms and shit, which, yeah, not good. I mean, if it comes to it, Rob. If it comes to it. If it all goes complete and utter shit, then we can always...
Allahu Akbar!
Just realised the dark stream. Not a good idea either. Oh well. How to get banned from Twitch. Right, another check inside. Oh, we are 2 miles from Ribble, so Ribble Rubble, where is it? Should be at 45 minutes, or at 47, that's fine, so we're still doing well on time. Ribble, just in case anyone wants to know, is east of Lancaster, so you probably can't see it, but under those clouds is Lancaster over there somewhere. So we should have, at Ribble, we need a minimum of 16 gallons of fuel left, and just check to make sure we have, so T's and P's are all in the green, and we have 40 gallons. So we're barely using any fuel at all at the moment. You see, Mercedes, they make good engines. They're not actually Mercedes engines, they're Ostro, but they are identical to a Mercedes A-Class engine. Yeah, so on Game Pass you get the standard edition, which for me was fine. Like, you still get a load of really good aircraft and stuff like that. I think with the higher ones, you get the only aircraft really that I personally would be interested in is the Dreamliner, because it's cool. The Cirrus SR-22, which is a very, very good, very powerful single-engine piston aircraft. Nice big V6 turbo engine in those. And you get a few more of like the hand-built airports. So you get, I think you get Dubai. I think you get Heathrow. But like, even without them, even with just the base pack, you still get plenty of aircraft. You still get all these amazing graphics. You still get every airport in the world. They're just not. Some of them aren't as accurate as they could be. They're not built, hand-built sort of thing. But it's not an issue. If there's anything you specifically want, you can buy the individual aircraft or the individual airports. But considering the price of Game Pass, and I play a few games on Game Pass, it made more sense to just use that, because I've got to play this for like a couple of years before I get me, before it would work out cheaper anyway. In reality, with Flight Sim, it's not the game anyway. That's the main cost. It's all the extra add-ons. Things like, I'm waiting for the 737 to come out because that's what I fly for a living. It would be nice to have my actual aircraft in the game. But when that comes out, that is probably going to cost a couple of £100 to buy. So it's sort of the game's the cheap part. Yeah, so with the default game, you get a 747, which, I mean, I've only flown it once, and it had a few bugs, but that was literally when this first came out. Maybe after I finish doing this, this set of streams, when we get to New York one day, I'll look at doing a 747. In fact, if the one to New York goes well, I may even look at continuing it and doing like a round the world trip. So we'll go from New York, go across to, down to Mexico maybe, or I don't know. I don't know what the route, the standard route is that people take when they do around the world flights. I was thinking of doing that yesterday actually, because I had to edit this one. Because for some unknown reason, this aircraft was actually pretty good when it first came out, and at some point a developer has gone in and changed it from having, recognising it has 360 horsepower to 180. Basically they're 180 horsepower in each, and they changed it to 180, never tested it and saved it, and so it kind of fucked up the main file for this, which meant it doesn't affect, I changed it to 360 because it makes no difference in how much power it has, but if I look inside, I've got a little, to set my power I use this over here, this little load indicator, so I've got 60% power at the moment. Because it only thought it had half the power it actually did, when you were at 50% power, it thought you were at 100, so you kind of just had to guess where 60% actually was and stuff like that. Because I was really concerned, because I set 60 and my speed was about 90 knots, and I was like, well, that's fucking slow. I used to do that in a little PA-28 Warrior. But yeah, I did think I wonder what it'd be like if I just, somewhere in the settings there must be an option to actually change the power and just be like, right, fuck it, it's got, so 360 horsepower, it's got 3.6 million horsepower. Yeah, we used the slew mode, me and Rob, and we managed to get, I can't remember how high it was like 350,000 feet or something ridiculous, and then just let it drop from there. It takes a long time to come down from 350,000 feet. So I think it's X-Plane where you do have a space shuttle actually in the game, because one of the sort of missions that you can do is trying to land the space shuttle from orbit. But obviously it's got no engines because you only ever get to use for that mission, but you can edit it and add, someone worked out basically how much power you'd need to add and stuff like that, and I did it, and fuck me, like you just sit on the end of the runway, go full power, and I've never seen anything go so quick. No, we yeah, it didn't go well, did it? Coming from trying to land a Cessna from space. you spin a lot. It makes you very sick. I would not want to do it in VR. Right, so looking ahead, the weather's starting to look a little bit shit. So it looks like we're going to probably pick up some ice. I won't bother putting the anti-ice on yet because it doesn't last forever. So this uses it's called a TKS system, which basically there's in the engine you've got a little tank which you fill with a de-icing fluid, and on the wing you have tiny little holes, and it basically seeps out de-icer. I think on normal it might last like 2 hours. On high it lasts maybe an hour, and I think on maximum you've got maybe 30 minutes. It's not a great system. On a proper jet you have bleed air, so it takes air from the engine and pumps hot air over the wing. Much better system. Some aircraft have the same sort of system, but they have like rubber boots, which when you press a button they fill with air, it cracks the ice, and then it all flies off. I think the reason they put it on this is because it's the cheapest and the lightest way of doing it. So what have we got outside? -6 degrees, so as soon as we go into that, yeah, I can almost guarantee we are going to instantly start picking up ice. And again, when I did the briefing at the start, it did say that there's moderate ice in pretty much the entire route. We've been lucky so far, actually, that we haven't hit it, but I don't think that luck is going to last forever. Thank you for the follow. Lemon poops. I've only just actually seen your full name. Lemon poop stick. That's amazing. And yes, for VR, I do want to try VR Flight Sim. So I think if you've got the beta for this, don't think it's been fully released yet. You can. They have got a VR mode, so it'll be interesting to see. I get my VR headset for Christmas, so I think I'm going to give it a go. So obviously when you're flying, ice is pretty bad for a number of reasons. Intakes for the engine, obviously those can, I've had that before, where they freeze over, and obviously so you're getting a lot less air in, so the engines aren't as efficient. The biggest one is on the front edges of the wings and of the tail. We start building up a lot of ice. Obviously that changes the shape of the wing and that, and it makes it a lot less efficient, to the point that you'll if I pick up ice, you'll actually see the speed starting to drop right down. And eventually, if it gets bad enough, it can get to the point where the ice is that thick and the air is going over, it fucks it up that much that you don't have any lift. You basically become a rock and fall out of the sky. Ice is terrible. Like, it's brought down. I mean, you watch Air Crash Investigation now, you'll see it's brought down so many aircraft over the years. Right, so we're about to go into cloud. We've got freezing temp, so preempt it, and we'll just put the de-icing on normal. Obviously, if we do find we're still picking up ice, I can change it to high. If we are really struggling, I can descend to try and get below it. Obviously, the lower you go, the warmer it gets. That's essentially what it is. That's essentially what this system is. It's essentially like antifreeze that just sort of seeps out of the wings. So you see we picked up a little bit of ice there. Getting a little bit just on the nose there of the propeller. We will switch it to high.
Diamond Alpha, 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 you are 9 or 2 miles southeast. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 12 approach by Tango Romeo November transition. Clear to Tango Romeo November.
Lovely, so we've got our approach
Maintain
in there.
present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway 12 approach via Tango Romeo November transition. Clear to Tango Romeo November.
So we need to
Alpha,
keep
Alpha,
our heading.
Alpha.
Annoyingly, pressing the synchronise heading doesn't synchronise our heading. So just do it manually. Ice is not picking up too bad. So let's switch to heading mode. So we've got heading now up here. We know we're going ILS runway 12 via the TRN transition. So we can set now that in the... Put some lube on that plane. We can set that in the flight plan. So we're going to select approach, ILS runway 12 via the TRN. There it is. Why it wants to take me all the way back, I don't know. Where on earth is this thing taking me? There we go, that's giving us a more realistic, I think. What is this system doing? Might end up just having to do this manually, because I have no idea what the fuck this thing's doing. Supposedly they'd fix this. Doesn't look like it. Okay, not a problem. See if I can finish it. We know we've got plenty of time anyway. To be fair, this is the sort of shit I normally come out with when I'm actually flying. Is, oh, I don't know what I'm fucking doing. Right. That's going towards the airport. Select approach. Just give this a go one more time. That's looking more like it. That's more... There we go. Look, that looks correct now, doesn't it? Straight up. Just thought I haven't checked the ice for a while. Oh, it's going. She's disappearing. We're doing alright. Put radiators on the wings, it will heat up. Again, yeah, that's essentially, radiators on the wings, that is essentially what your commercial jets do. So where it's sucking air in for the jet engines, it takes a little bit of the hot air from the back, takes it through into the wings, and it basically just pumps hot air onto the wings, which melts the ice. The reason this doesn't have it is this doesn't have that sort of setup. It doesn't take air from the engine at all. This is purely, the engine is separate to everything else. Drop the nukes. I mean, where are we actually? I don't know, where exactly are we at the moment? Keswick. Just gone over Windermere. Oh, no, I like Windermere. Windermere's nice. We should have done it back when we were over Bradford. We're going to drop the nukes. Right. So, that is now giving us somewhat correct reading. So let me make sure I've got ILS 12 up on me fucking chart so I know what I'm doing. So we're going to Turnberry, and then we're going in... Okay, so that's fine. So let's see. The ILS then. So we've got the chart for... I'll have to just read it out. I need to find a way I can have this so I can show you the chart I'm looking at, but we'll work it out. I'll work out to do it another day. So I've got the instrument chart for Prestwick, ILS runway 12, well, runway 12. Going Turnberry and then in. So we have got nav frequency of 110.3. 110.3 should be. So the code that we're looking out for is IPP. So we're picking up something else at the moment. We're obviously just too far away still. I mean, we are still 72 miles from Turnberry, which is understandable. Nav 2, 110.3. Get those set up. In here, so the final track is 124, so a course of 124. Oh, wrong one. There we go. God, this takes forever. 1, 2, 4. We'll set the second one as a backup also to 1, 2, 4. Well, we're miles off our track if we're going direct to Turnberry, but this is where we see how shit the built-in air traffic control system is. Oh, we're also getting a shit ton of ice. Let's max that out for a little bit. Try and get rid of as much of this ice as we can. I mean, to be fair, it's not too bad the weather up ahead once we get through all this. Worst case scenario, I might look at dropping, because we're just catching the bottom of these clouds, aren't we? I think if I dropped by about 1,000, 2,000 feet, let's give him a call. I can't, he won't let me. Okay, no problem, it looks like we're sticking here. Just a bit cautious of the speed going down. The ice is coming back. I thought I'd just check that, because I've never actually checked if the de-ice system on this even works in the game. Choose a button or dial at random and press it and turn it all the way. I mean, probably it wouldn't do that much at the moment, so the heading is probably the one that's going to do the most. So that's just going to turn us left or right. All the others won't really do that much at the moment. I suppose I should set as well. So our minimums then is going to be 238 feet, so we'll call that 240. Just keep that on max. To 40 feet. So basically, if we get down to 240 feet and we can't see the runway, we ain't landing. Still waiting for this bloody ice to disappear. It's a pretty crap system, isn't it, this? Again, it is better, much better in the real aircraft. It's just a bit shit on here for some reason.
Manchester Center, Speedbird 1435 is at flight level 320, descending 10,000 feet. Speedbird 1435, Manchester Center, continue as planned.
Oh, we ain't got far to go. 60 miles. The speed's actually holding pretty well. It seems to be. I think that might just be an error with the game. I think it is doing the de-icing really well because our speed's fine. However, it just, for some reason, is very slow at getting rid of the visual icing. We'll wait and see. We've got no risk of stall or anything at the moment. I'm just going to keep it on max. As far as I'm aware, again, with the game, I'm pretty sure in real life, you on max, you've got, like I said, half an hour in de-icing. I think it's unlimited, so I can't imagine that it's that realistic. It's quite cool to see how the engine ices up, though. So obviously right now, the ice on the wing is the biggest one. It's not that thick, but you don't want ice there, right on the leading edge. And as you can see, the intake to the engine, which is just below the propeller down here, below the spinner, that's going to be very blocked up with ice as well. So we're obviously getting less air into the engine, so less power. I suppose we can set Turnberry as a backup on the nav. Let's go for, was it 117.5? If I set the second, nav 2 to Turnberry, which is where we're heading to, we can see how far away from that we are. I mean, I hope he turns us at some point, because we're going nowhere near, like, Turnberry VOR. Do you have a Discord server? Yeah. Rob, I don't know which one you want to... I'll let RJ Parkey put that in. The link to the server, if you want, Rob. Assuming he's still there. Or anyone. You can put a link into the Discord server. I am trying to find the link. He's in the middle of someone right now. He wishes he was in the middle of someone. It's been a long time since he was in the middle of someone. Sorry, Rob, I've just sort of outed you on chat. Right, so we're not too far now. Still 50 miles. I think, is that 50 miles to Turnberry? Yeah, 50 miles to Turnberry. 14 knot crosswind. Although he's taking us sort of direct to the airport there. So this will be interesting. Let's go check, he did definitely say. Maintain present heading and altitude. Expect ILS runway to 12 via the TRN transition. Clear to TRN. So now that is a very confusing in set of instructions. Because am I supposed to carry on my heading, or am I supposed to carry on to Turnberry? Tell you what, we'll request a vector to the next waypoint. In reality, I'd just call him up and go, where is it I'm supposed to be going?
Manchester
But we'll do
Center
this.
Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 Alpha. Requesting vector to next waypoint.
Diamond Alpha, 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 continue to Tango Romeo November turning.
There we go.
Following
Go to
heading
TRN.
290.
So let's go
Continue to
290.
Tango Romeo November turning and following
I
heading
thought that's
290,
probably the
Diamond
case.
Alpha, Alpha, Alpha.
So that should put us on a nice little intercept heading now. There we go. If I do that, we can see a little bit clearer. So that's putting us on a nice intercept heading. So once we intercept that line, we'll turn and follow it then, direct to Turnberry. I gotta say as well, guys, fair play for sticking with this video, because I did not expect anyone to sit and watch an hour and a half of me basically doing nothing. Occasionally looking at a screen or looking out the window. Although, like I said, now we're getting towards the actual main interesting bit, which is the landing. I sat here in this meeting anyway. Well, that's fair enough. And lemon poop sticks, you love airplanes, don't blame you. That's amazing. Yeah, you'd be a bit bad if your name was Jet and you didn't like aircraft, wouldn't it, really, I suppose? Be a bit awkward. So we've still got a shitload of ice. Somehow the speed's fine. Just keep an eye on that speed. As long as the speed doesn't start dropping down, it's not an issue. De-icing fluid is being fed to the windscreen. We want to keep the windscreen clear as well. Would help if I can see where I'm going. So again, yeah, picking up just a little bit of chop, which again we expected. It was in the briefing at the start that moderate icing, moderate turbulence en route. Kerbal Space Program. Me and Crip in the Box were only saying the other day, actually, we need to do a Kerbal Space Program stream. I am not smart enough to play that game, though. I try and play it properly, and then 30 seconds later, stick the biggest rocket I can find on and just hit go and see what happens.
Diamond Alpha, 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 contact Scottish
Nope.
Center on 119er
Something for us to do.
decimal 875.
119er decimal 875 for Diamond Alpha, Alpha, Alpha.
So we're getting closer. We're 4.6 miles off track now.
Scottish Center Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 10,000 feet.
Diamond Golf, Alpha, 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 Alpha,
2941.
Scottish Center, continue to Tango Romeo November as planned. Altimeter 29er decimal 41.
So, since we left Gloucester, the pressure up in Scotland is a lot low. Well, not a lot lower. It's quite a bit lower than what it is down there. So we reset that because, again, you know, not so much there, just a little change. If you've got a big change, it's very easy. You know, if you've got an obstacle at 2,000 feet and you think you're at 2,500 feet, you go, yeah, I'll clear that. And in reality, you've got your pressure set wrong. In reality, you're at 2,000 feet and you've crashed into it. Again, many crashes have happened because of that. So he's telling us to carry on to Turnberry. So we are slowly getting back on track. We're 3.8 miles now off track. And if we look on the map, we're going to intercept it nice and early, well before we actually reach Turnberry, which is good. Speed's still holding okay. We've still got quite a bit of ice. But that'll all start to break off as it cracks off. Okay. Yeah, so that's the thing. I think the problem is I never actually looked at any videos of it. I just sort of bought it, did the tutorial, and went, oh, the tutorial went okay. That won't be too hard. Tried going on my own and went, nope, nope, that is impossible. I would really appreciate it if this guy got me start descending soon. One of these days I should have to do it. Doing this flight sim, instead of using the built-in ATC, use something like VATSIM, which is like a community-based. So you've got real air traffic controllers who like sit and do air traffic controlling in a simulator. And that's a bit better then, because like for now, for instance, because my speed's dropping, we're picking up a lot of ice. In reality, I'd just go, right, okay, I want to descend a bit. I know I'm safe to descend down to about 4,000 feet. So I'll go, well, okay, I'll send maybe 1,000 or 2,000 feet just to get away from this cloud. Or if I've got a big cloud like that, I'll go, well, can I turn to the left slightly? And you just can't do that with the basic ATC in the game. Although it doesn't look too bad now. There's a little bit of clear air. Hopefully we'll get rid of some of this ice. I have got dev mode turned on, so I can every now and then just have a look up here, because I can manually set how much ice we've got. I've just, obviously, I've got it up just so I can see. Make sure the de-icing is actually working. So there we go, we're still trying to get on track. We're at 2.2 miles. Got me charter, we've gone over it, so we can expect to be descended down to 2,000 feet after Turnberry. Final approach is at the final approach point is at 6 miles and 2,000 feet, and then it's a 3-degree glide path all the way down to the runway. If for whatever reason we have to do a missed approach, it'll be basically climbed 3,000 feet straight ahead. So we're going to be climbing all the way to 3,000 feet. Initially it's straight ahead to 2,500. When we reach 2,500 we do a right turn back to the NDB, Papa India Kilo, to hold at 3,000 feet, or as told by ATC. So that's fine, that's what we'll do. We can see now that that track's starting to come in. I'll make sure we've got the pick in, which we have 355. So we'll set 355 on the ADF. There we go, the ADF's in, 355. So that is a little radio mast right in the centre of the airfield. So we know the airfield is in that direction basically. That'll just always point at the airfield now. So we're very close now to being back on track. Once it gets a little bit closer, I'll switch from heading mode back to nav mode, and that will then just follow the GPS line all the way in. And if it's anything like the real thing, it's supposed, once we get... Oh, let's turn that off. It's supposed to, once we get onto fine approach, automatically switch over to the ILS and let us follow that all the way in. Nice. 69. Right. Where are we? Lots of clouds, couldn't really tell you where we are. But fuck it, we'll just go anyway. So there we go, we're pretty much back on track. Let's turn nav mode back on. There we go, we've got IPP up as well now, which is what we wanted. So we're all set up for the arrival now.
Diamond Alpha, Alpha, Alpha descent.
There we go,
Maintain
start the descent.
3,100 feet.
Descend and maintain 3,100 feet. Diamond
So
Alpha,
at Turnberry, we need to be 3,000 feet or above. So normally what I would do is you'd work it out. I want to be obviously at 0 feet when we reach the runway, and we'd work backwards from that.
3,000 feet.
I'm not going to do that now because we've got a bit of ice. I just want to get down
Descend and
as
maintain
quick
3,000
as
feet.
possible. So I'm
Diamond
going to do this
Alpha,
from my
Alpha,
iPad because it's easier than trying to do it in the do it on the G1000 on this. So we want 3,000 feet. Set that will start the descent. Let's bring the power back, and I'll tell you what, we'll even do a fairly quick descent. Get down nice and quick. We'll drop down at about 1,500 feet a minute. Just gets us down nice and quick. Gets us, annoyingly, into more cloud, but it's a little bit warmer. Hopefully we'll be able to lose a bit of ice. Although, as we've seen, this aircraft actually flies quite well, even with full ice, which is nice. Just uses a bit more fuel. Slow down too much. Give a little bit of throttle just to keep the speed where it is. So the temperature's warming up. We're up to -3 now. A few more degrees and we'll see that the ice will hopefully start breaking off. Theoretically, I think it's 10 degrees or like plus 10 degrees or below, and then with visible moisture, i.e. clouds, is where you've got a risk of ice.
Diamond Alpha, Alpha, Alpha contact. Prestwick approach on 129er decimal 45.
129er decimal 45 Diamond Alpha, Alpha, Alpha. Prestwick approach Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 Alpha is at 6,700 feet, descending 3,000 feet.
Diamond Golf. Alpha, 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 Alpha Prestwick approach. Continue to Tango
2935.
Land. Altimeter 29er decimal 35.
So continue as planned, 2935, that's set twice in there. So we're up to 0 degrees now. We're still in cloud, but hopefully 0 degrees with the de-icing fluid should be enough to sort of keep us out of that icing that we picked up earlier. I should point out this route over the Atlantic is normally a summer route. Normally the winter one goes down via Portugal and the Azores, but oh well. That's what we do it in a sim and not for real. Start barrel roll 10 seconds. So back when I was doing my training, my instructor actually got me. Basically, we'd finished in the sim. This is back when I was learning to fly just a very similar aircraft to this actually, just slightly smaller. And we're in the simulator, and we got to the end, and we had a few minutes left. So he had me fly an entire approach upside down, and then literally at about 50 feet, spin it round and land. Gotta say, quite interesting. So we're pretty much going past the airport now. We're not too far off. Start bringing the power back up as we start to level out. Yeah, I'm a first officer for an airline. I fly 737s. Ah, the ice, to me, looks like it's starting to disappear now. Still can't see the airport at all. We will see if we can pick up the weather. So the ATIS is on 121.3. So I set COM2. Oop, come on. Let's go 121.3. Let's see if we can pick up the weather. Doesn't look like we're gonna. That's annoying. Oh, it's just 121.13. That's why. That's my fault. 121.13.
Prestwick Airport information, Yankee 1200.
So 134 at 17, visibility 6, view at 500, view at 4,200, view at 11,000, 8 degrees, 2935, which is what we've got set. ILS runway 12. Perfect. That's all we wanted. Switch back to that. So we can get the pre-landing checks done now, the descent checks. So landing data we've got, altimeters are set, carve nav and FMS is set. Safety harness is fastened, adjustable backrest are upright, parking brake is released, rudder trim is neutral, gear warning lights we can't do. Landing light can go on, and we've got 2 engines, so the fuel pumps can both go on.
Diamond Alpha climb and maintain 4,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 4,000 feet, okay.
Climb and maintain 4,000 feet, Diamond Alpha Alpha.
That makes sense. Sure. Let's start climbing to 4,000 feet then. We'll set about 95% power. Increase that VS a little bit. She's only going to immediately get me to start descending. Because we need to be at 2,000 feet for the thing anyway, for the approach. Leveling out, bring the power back. What about the tray tables? Damn it, the tray tables! That's it, we're going to crash now. Someone left their tray table down, therefore we're going to crash. You can adjust the simulation speed, if that's what you mean. Yeah. So I can change the simulation speed, but it goes a little bit shit because the PC just can't keep up with it. I think I can go up to about 4 times before it starts going a bit crap. I hope she starts getting us to start descending soon, because we're getting... At what point... I'll tell you what, if we get to that turning point there, if she hasn't told us to start descending then, I'm just going to ignore her and fly it how it's supposed to be flown, because that's going to be an issue, if otherwise. Because again, it's the built-in ATC. It's not brilliant. I need probably, what, 2 minutes to... Worst case scenario, I need 2 minutes to descend to get down to 2,000 feet. 120 knots, that's going to be 4 miles. So 4 miles from... final approach. Yeah, we should be alright. If we get to that point and we haven't heard anything. Landing is the same thing as buzzing the runway at low speed. Basically, yeah. It's a controlled crash, is what it is. There we go. About fucking time, love.
Descend and maintain 2,000 feet, Diamond Alpha, Alpha, Alpha.
2,000 feet, set. It's so much easier doing it on my iPad than doing it on this. Let's bring that power back a little bit. We've got rid of the ice as well, which is good. It's pretty much gone now. Somewhere out there is an airport and a runway. We know they said there's clouds at 400 feet, and the airport sits at 65 feet, so about 450 feet then. So it's when they say clouds at 400 feet, they mean 400 feet above the airfield. So about 450 feet is where we should be clear of all the clouds, theoretically.
Crest with approach cargo log 7754 is at 9,400 feet descending 3,000 feet.
So we can see now the glide slope indicator that's coming. So we've got IPP, which is what we want. We've got the glide slope indicator. So when we're on final approach, basically we want to start under it. You never want to start above it because you can get... the way it works, it's a radio signal. You can get the different lobes and you can end up basically... Even though it's set, if you're coming from above, you've got a chance of it saying you're on track. Actually, you're paralleling the track from above, which means you'll never reach the runway. So you're always coming from below, which is what we're doing now. So that's telling me I'm below the track that I need to be on. Slowly, once we're on final, that will start coming down. And then once it gets to centre, we need to hold it there. I'll probably just do most of it on autopilot and let go at the last minute. We'll see what it's like. Especially with a 22 knot crosswind. I might end up having to do it manually. We'll see. We'll see how well it handles. So we're coming up to 2,000 feet. Let's set about sort of 40-50% power. I want to keep it about 120 knots. No need to be screaming in now. So what you're saying? Yeah, basically.
Diamond Alpha Alpha Alpha, you are 11 miles west of Prestwick. Contact Prestwick Tower on 127.155 when inbound.
Tower on 127.155 Diamond Alpha Alpha Alpha. Prestwick Tower Diamond Golf. Alpha Alpha.
She did say
Alpha,
went
Alpha,
inbound,
11
so I'll
miles
call them a little bit
northwest
early,
of
but we're going to be turning inbound any second now.
Diamond Golf. Alpha 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 Prestwick
2935, we've got set.
Cleared ILS runway 12 approach. Altimeter 29.35 wind 134 at 17.
Okay, so it's mostly a headwind.
Cleared ILS runway 12 approach Diamond Alpha Alpha Alpha.
See, so it's automatically switched over now to the ILS. It's going to blow right through it, but then pull it back. There's the runway, dead ahead of us. Somewhat dead ahead of us. It's not the best at capturing, I've found. Okay, so we've got the glide slope alive, so let's arm the approach. Okay, we're one dot above, let's get the gear down. And we can get the flaps down. Just to the first stage of flaps at the moment. Aiming for about 90 knots. Let's make sure it captures, which it does. Let's get the speed right. So there we go, we're now below the 2,000 feet. Our missed approach is going to be 3,000 feet. So I'll set 3,000 feet in there. So if we go around, it's already got 3,000 feet set. It's all looking good. Speed's coming back. Okay, let's go manual. Alright, so this is me now flying this in. A little bit of rudder. I will apologise, it's not going to be the smoothest. My controls are ultra fucking sensitive for some reason.
Prestwick Tower Cargo Lux 775 411 miles west inbound ILS runway 12 approach.
Cargo 775 for Prestwick Tower. Cleared ILS runway 12 approach. Altimeter 29.35 wind 134 at 17.
A little bit off centre.
Alpha cleared to land runway 12. Wind 134 at 17.
Cleared ILS runway 12
Oh my
approach.
god, love, can you
Cargo Lux
not tell me? No, I'm
775
kind of busy.
Clear to land runway 12 Diamond
Right, we're
Alpha
clear to
Alpha
land.
Alpha.
Just a little bit off track, let's bring that back a little bit. So at the moment I'm mostly looking inside, but glancing up every now and then just to make sure that it's equal outside, and as I get closer in I'll start look more outside than I do inside, and then eventually entirely outside once we get close enough. We've still got one set of flaps to do, which I'll do as we get further down. That'll bring us back to a good speed. Again, I apologise, it's a bit bouncy with these controls. I need to adjust the curves for these, but it's not too bad. So we're coming. We've still got a couple hundred feet to get to our minimums.
Cargo 7754 cleared to land runway 12. Follow the diamond.
See, that's very much an Americanism. Clearing him to land before I've even landed. In the UK, you're not cleared to land until the person ahead of you has actually
Clear to
exited the
land
runway.
runway 12 cargo lux 7754.
So I'm basically looking outside the entire time now. So we're coming up on our minimums. So if we couldn't see the runway by now, we'd be going around. We'll go final stage of flaps. We're a little bit high. There we go, bring that back. Just ballooned a little bit as we came down. Okay, straighten up. Flared a little bit too much. Hold it there. And we're down. Now we know I've got the other guy right up my arse, so let's try and get off this runway nice and quick.
Diamond Alpha 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 turn next taxiway. Cargo 7754 go around.
Right, so he's going around because I'm still on the runway. That is why you don't clear someone to land until the other person's off the runway. Also what happens when I've got a jet trying to land behind me.
Going around cargo lux 7754.
That was entirely ATC's fault.
7754 contact Prestwick approach on 129er decimal 45. Diamond Alpha 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 contact ground on 118 decimal 15.
Going to 118 decimal 15 Diamond Alpha Alpha Alpha.
Okay, so it's not going to give me the option to taxi to parking, but it's already there, which is fine. So our after landing checks then. Turn the pitot heat off. Get the flaps up. Turn the fuel pumps off. Turn the de-icing off. Come on. And the landing light can go off. It's not like night time. You can see where we're going. Try and keep the engines below about 10% if we can. Okay, well, I'm not pretty sure they're not supposed to be in the middle of the taxiway, so we'll go. What the? Where on earth is this taking me? Okay. This is a fucking weird route, but whatever. It's not the best at routing for taxiing, apparently. Okay, so he's... Where the fuck is he taking me? Perfect, right. Let's get the parking brake on. So parking check, so parking brake set, power levers 10% max for 1 minute, that's fine, we already had that anyway. ELT's not activated, check all the T's and P's are in the green. Turn the avionics master off, Electrical consumers except strobe off. Engine masters can go off, so we'll turn these off one at a time. Left engine's off. Right engine's off. Lovely, make sure those off. Now the strobe can go off. And finally, the battery. And there we go. Run them over, chop them into pieces. I wish it would let you. I have tried that. Well, there we are. Parked, and we're at Prestwick. So that's the end of today's flight then. Next one, hopefully be tomorrow, will be Prestwick up to Keflavik in Iceland. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you all enjoyed it. And yeah, hopefully we'll be back doing the next flight tomorrow. See you all later.